Welcome back to another edition of Pop Stories by Fred Dietz. This is another one of my special stories. This is one that I wrote. This is the continuation of Uncle Ronnie's stories, the Zombie Chronicles. This one's called The Science Portion. Uncle Ronnie sat back down at the campfire. They had to keep in mind zombies monitor human and the Bigfoot and Sasquatch Union broadcasts. They knew I liked science. One night when I arrived, I was escorted to the ZSC Zombie Science Center. I'm glad I had an escort as I had to pass through several zombie army checkpoints. Humans call their secret area Area 51. Ours is called Area 15, said the center's director. As we walked through the lobby, he started to tell me about the projects there. In one section, we have two competing groups at work. Think of all the famous dead scientists, he said. We have them all working here. One group of scientists is trying to find a way to extend the 3-hour period to 12 hours or more. It's a true dream and a true nightmare, waiting for those 3 hours, and then those 3 hours are used up again. The rival group is trying the reverse process in order to create the zombie cyborg. With the zombie cyborg concept, you can grasp the immediate problem ahead, said the scientist as we entered the elevator. The elevator went down. For 21 hours, it is not a problem. 24 hours is a problem. The other 3 hours that so many live for present a challenge. In those 3 hours, all the rejections come into play. Both groups want to find a permanent solution. Uncle Ronnie noted, both can succeed, which will make an interesting world situation. When we exited the elevator, he took me to another part of the ZSC. No matter which side wins, we had to create a way to control the situation. He held up a vial. This is a toxin that stops the zombie from regenerating. If we did not have the prevention, there are certain parties that would use it to create a zombie attack force. Think about it, said Uncle Ronnie. A zombie army would be impossible to stop 21 hours a day. But with that toxin, I don't know, he said as he rubbed his chin. You may find it hard to believe, but we also have an advanced space program. I'm sorry to say your space program is only ranked 4th amongst the major programs. Zombies in space? Asked another adult from the edge of the campfire. It should be noted how large the group had grown listening to his stories. As Uncle Ronnie had had many sessions, the group had grown quite large. Zombies in space, replied Uncle Ronnie. The director told a story from their space chronicles. The zombies and the Bigfoot and Sasquatch crews all met up on Pluto. They started to talk about safety concerns. The zombies pointed out that when you are dead, certain factors don't come into play. There is no ZEPA saying watch out for that radiation level. They started to laugh at the other crew. They got out while the other crew had to wait. The director paused for a moment. That's why we make the greatest explorers and discover more than what they do. Well, we have even been outside of the universe. I'll explain how that is possible in a bit. He paused to gather where he should be in his explanations as he led me to another section. There's much debate as to how zombies started, he said, as we arrived on another floor of the ZSC. The creation of the first zombie is shrouded in mystery. Even more mystery surrounds how zombies started to live for 3 hours. Generation upon generation were lost. The first zombie is far below on another level. He is unable to talk or write of how he came about. There is no cure for when a zombie stops living for those 3 hours. There is a disease that makes only partially come back. As the disease progresses, it gets to the point where a zombie is unable to regenerate. They remain locked in the wakeful sleep, having a nightmare. Those bang around with little heart. He looked at me. It could have been a chemical reaction. It could have been a volcanic eruption that created that first zombie. One day, we will figure it out. Based on those that came before us, the levels go down deeper than any human could imagine. We're going to go below the plates. The first zombie level is near the core. That is our destination. He led me into another chamber. The director started again. You will need to wear this pressurized suit. It looked like an astronaut suit, said Uncle Ronnie as he looked about the campfire. Only guess at this point I would be a geonaut. I wish your Aunt Priscilla could have seen me in it. Maybe just one day she will. Uncle Ronnie started again. I I noticed he was putting one on too. He answered my look by saying, even we have to wear the same type of suits if it is the time of life. Once we were both suited up, he led me into a special bank of elevators. We are already deeper than any human has ever been, he said as he looked at me. Now we are going to go explore. He smiled as he said it. The elevator started to take us down. We stopped about 10 floors down. He motioned for me to follow him. We walked down into a chamber. There were all kinds of gems lying about. Uncle Ronnie stopped for a moment. All I needed to do was to reach down and grab a handful of diamonds, emeralds, rubies, to be richer than anyone on this planet. They were all right there. Why didn't you? Shoot, we could all be rich, said an adult voice on the edge of the group. Uncle Ronnie shook his head. No, not my style. He looked up to see Aunt Priscilla. Her look said it all. When we need some funding for a project, one of our agents goes above ground to sell some. There's a network, the director noted, but did not elaborate. As you can see, we do a lot of mining. Sometimes the miners get careless and create openings in the surface world. That's where a lot of sinkholes come into play. Some of the more adventurous go out and at that time. Some will play tricks by leaving a body part out and about to be found by an unsuspecting human. They climb out to see what the outside world is like. It causes a lot of work when it is below an ocean. Do you have any idea how much overtime it took to put back the Great Lakes? He shook his head. We got back into the elevator. We went down 30 floors. Before stepping out, he checked my suit. We don't need you to lose you down here. My head would roll for days. He flipped the switch as we walked into the chamber. Before my eyes was an alien spaceship. I looked at it in amazement. I turned to look at him. He had the same look on his face. I still get that way every time I see it, said the director. When I stop getting that feeling, it's time to do something else. We walked up to the ship. We walked around it. To my amazement and my sheer joy, he went aboard it. The things on that ship, Uncle Ronnie would start to talk about, then back away from the detail. He simply said, it will be amazing when it is shown to the world. We got back into the elevator. He pointed out several other ships as we went. One cavern had a sign, Atlantis. I turned to look at him as if to signify we should visit there. Not today, he replied. It's a high holy day for them. Perhaps another day will be arranged. With that, he turned to look out another portal. After another 220 floors, the elevator stopped. When you step out, you may feel a little disoriented as we will be near the core, he said. The core of the earth? I said, a bit stunned. Yes, the director said. There are minerals down there, far rarer than gold or jewels. As you may have noticed, they are rather common down here. But down here is the only place for some special minerals. They are only found here. One that allows us to power everything. Zombium. It's 100 times stronger than uranium. All the major systems throughout the zombie world are powered by it. As interesting as all of that is, you didn't bring me down here for this, did you? I replied. The director shook his head, no. No, I brought you down to meet someone. The first zombie lives down here. Uncle Ronnie stopped there for a moment. Imagine if you can meet the first human. I don't mean the bones, I mean the first person. It was a great opportunity. The director led me out of the elevator. The heat was tremendous. I was certainly glad of the suit, Uncle Ronnie remarked. We walked about 20 yards before entering another chamber. Once inside, the temperature dropped. There, sitting in a chair, was the first zombie. He did not move much. However, when he saw me, he became agitated. He started to lurch about the chamber. The director looked at me. He never does that. Very curious. Soon we were back in the elevator. It was a quiet ride back to the top. Once out of the pressurized suit, the director took me to another section of the ZSC. If you had the chance to go back in time to tell yourself one thing, what would it be? The director asked. In this section, our scientists are working on time travel. Zombie scientists are working on time travel via the utilization of a black hole. Think about it. They go through in the zombie stage and wait for their living stage. Since the black hole does not destroy the matter, the zombie comes out the other side. They can visit all areas, all planets. This will have a great impact on zombieism. Once the zombie period is over, they only have to think of what they look like at a certain period. That is, boom. They picture themselves, that's how they're going to look. It is a true dream and a true nightmare, waiting for those 3 hours, and then those 3 hours are used up again. But we are trying to utilize that period. Think if you had one chance to go back in time to tell yourself something to change the course of time. Maybe you don't go back to you. Maybe you visit someone famous to change something. Maybe you go back to save a relationship. We see it here so often. Besides the personal side, time travel allows something else to happen. I alluded to it before. Time travel allows us to travel outside of the universe. Besides visiting the 15 planets in our system, time travel allows us to visit planets outside of our system. We're able to go to a planet and set up a base. At this point, he stopped to show me a video of zombie knots on different planets, inside and outside of our solar system. I actually got to hold rocks from another planet, outside our system. Uncle Ronnie was smiling as he remembered the experience. He showed me several rooms of dinosaurs. It is a lot easier to find them down here than digging down, he noted. He showed me a room filled with skeletons, books, and artifacts from space. I saw books detailing famous moments in zombie history. Obviously, a lot was tied to us. They had the whole hall devoted to zombie inventions, some for each part of the day. Another part was a huge library. As I went down the shelves, I picked up various books. I read from a zombie quotation of the day book. The director showed me a series of books of the zombie guide to dealing with the undead. One series that caught my eye was about the zombie rebellion. It mentioned the zombie underground. The director turned on a computer. He showed me the Zombie Dead book, the unsocial experience for zombies. Wait a minute, isn't it that now? Just saying. There has been a long session, said Uncle Ronnie. I need to get up and stretch.